Welcome to the Mindset Mile podcast, the show that'll leave you empowered to take action towards becoming the turned up version of your already awesome self. I'm your host, Aisha Zaza, and I'm so glad you're here. Let's go. Hello, fam. Welcome back to another episode of the Mindset Mile podcast. I recently saw a quote that felt like such a major truth bomb. It's by James Clear, and he says, "You do not rise to the level of your goals. You fall to the level of your systems." I haven't read anything more true than that in a minute. And it got me thinking about how goal-driven of a culture we are, which is such a great thing in many instances. I love goals, and I think it's super important to have things in your life that keep you moving forward and to envision and that get you excited, really. But in the same token, big goals are sort of pointless if all you do is set them without a proper plan to execute. And I get it. I get the appeal. Like, goals are sexy. They're fun to talk about. They're fun to think about, but they become not so fun when you feel like you're failing miserably at attaining them. And this quote by James Clear is probably the biggest misconception about goal setting. This idea that you will rise to the occasion because you set audacious sights on a goal bigger than your systems that you have in place to get there. It stings to admit, but 98% of people will fall to the level of their systems because systems are what keep you ticking. So let's step back. I know it sounds like I'm talking about like these big elusive life goals, but really what I want you to do is become a master at crushing your days and your weeks. Because we all know, or hopefully by now, doing that consistently is what gets us to these big goals. So here are 3 things I do every week that I hope will help you build systems to set your weeks up for success. Number 1, nobody is surprised to hear me say this. Meal prep. I really think that making food, thinking about what to make for dinner, thinking about and actually going grocery shopping, bridging the gap between what to make that tastes good but is still well balanced and macro friendly and all the things revolving around food prep, that actually takes up way more mental energy than people think. Deciding what to eat might sound like a trivial decision, but add that decision up 3 times a day over the course of your life and tell me that is not like actual plaguing. It can be very painful if you don't have a system in place. So I strongly believe that having a good understanding of nutrition, how to make food, and how to make it efficiently so you're not living in the kitchen is honestly like one of the biggest life flexes, which is what inspired me to make my 8-week meal prep guide, Well Prepped, where you prep once during the week, cook twice, and can enjoy eating macro-friendly, delicious meals all week long. I took for granted this system that I figured out works for me. As a mom of 2, as an athlete, and as someone who genuinely is interested in fueling my body for short-term athletic goals and aesthetic goals, but also for my lifespan and my health span. It didn't feel like I was doing anything extraordinary. But anytime I'd post about what I was eating, I always got so many questions about how I always have time to make home-cooked meals, what I eat in a day to stay in shape or to stay lean, where I find my recipes, etc. And while I know diet is not a one-size-fits-all thing, I realized that I had a framework that set me up for success every week. So I made Well Prepped. The link to it is in my show notes. My guide doesn't have to be your system, okay? There's no hard feelings. I know there are tons of ideas out there, but figure something out that works for you and set a goal to do it consistently for 4 weeks. It's easy to knock out meal prep for 1 week. You can knock that out of the park. But what you're able to do consistently is what you need more than a perfect looking and Instagrammable fridge one time. It doesn't need to be fancy or perfect, but have a rough ideas of what lunches and dinners will look like throughout the week and try to do that consistently for 4 weeks. I promise your week will have way more flow when you're not scrambling over food every day. Tip number 2, take 5 to 15 minutes before your week starts to do a rough time block for your week. Now, you can get as meticulous as you want with this, and I know some people love time blocking down to the hour, but you don't have to do that, okay? But have a general idea of how your week is going to look and schedule in your non-negotiables. I try to keep my non-negotiables really simple as I possibly can, because without even trying, life gets complicated, okay? But so my non-negotiables are my work hours, appointments or meetings, workouts, meal prep and cooking, and then quality times with my family, my kids and my husband. So if not much in your week changes week to week, then I could see why you would think this is not important to do. But I beg to differ. Having structure you can see increases your chance of committing to your schedule. It's the difference of playing your week on offense as opposed to playing it on defense. So yes, even if you have a general idea of what your days look like, set up some intention and structure so that way all these things that you really want to get consistent with have a time and have a place, and there is no missing that. I mean, of course, it's not always going to work out perfect. Life comes up, but if you can see the way that your week is going to flow at the beginning of it, you're going to have a much easier time sticking to that than if you just go into your day without a game plan. Something I learned recently that blew my mind is that the indoor air we breathe is 2 to 5 times more polluted than outdoor air. And in some cases, up to 100 times more polluted, according to the EPA. And air pollution is responsible for nearly 7 million premature deaths globally. We've personally been using an air purifier in our home for a few years, but I haven't appreciated how much work it was doing until now. The Air Doctor is an air purifier that filters out 99.99% of dangerous contaminants so that your lungs don't have to. This includes pollutants such as allergens, pollen, pet dander, dust mite, mold spores, and even bacteria and viruses that make you sick. Air Doctor comes with a 30-day breathe easy money back guarantee. So if you don't love it, just send it back for a refund minus the shipping. Head to airdoctorpro.com and use promo code MindsetMile to receive up to $300 off air purifiers. And exclusive to podcast customers, you will also receive a free 3-year warranty on any unit, which is an additional $84 value. Go get your Air Doctor purifier today at Air Doctor Pro. That's AIRDOCTORPRO.com and use code MindsetMile. And tip number 3, tidy your space. Physical clutter equals mental clutter. If the places you spend the majority of your time look and feel like a tornado hit, dedicate some time to getting those places organized. Whether that's your car, your office, your desk, your kitchen, I totally understand that on the list of priorities, cleaning and tidying are things that can slide while others can't. But I want to encourage you to find some time to organize a bit with time that you'd otherwise spend doing something else, like watching a show or scrolling on your phone. And there's no shame in either, okay? Like, I understand that sometimes those things are downtime, but maybe for 1 or 2 Netflix and chill sessions, take 30 minutes instead and invest in getting your spaces organized. Get rid of things you aren't using. Throw away any trash in your car. Put things in their place. Wipe down surfaces. It really doesn't need to take long, and chances are you've probably been meaning or wanting to do this anyways. But even that open tab in your brain in and of itself is mental clutter. Getting organized and keeping most of your spaces within 10 minutes of being fully picked up is a game changer in reducing stress and overwhelm. So those are my 3 tips, but when you go to implement these things, if you're feeling overwhelmed by adding all 3, then add 1. Do 1 at a time, and the next week, add another. That is habit stacking at its finest. But truly, these things are all pretty simple, but they make the biggest difference in how your week will flow and the space that will open up to spend your time and your energy on bigger things because of these little things. So get after it, my friends. I really hope that this helps you set your week and your days up for success. And if you loved this episode, I want to know. And the best way you can do that is by tagging me on your stories or social media posts at Aisha Zaza. I cannot wait to see you next week. And until then, make it a great day.